Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. Um, I will say I can't see everyone's face because I have hopefully the presentation mode correct now, but I appreciate everybody being here, and I will get to introductions. And really the main event here are we have some rising second years who are here to talk about their experience last year and give some advice and lay of the land, because last year was the first year post-COVID that we were in person. So it was interesting to see how we've adapted back to a new normal. And prior to that, for a couple of years in a row, the conference had been virtual, so much different feel. And I'm excited to be with you all in Dallas in person, having conversations with you, but also alum and employees. So let's get started. The first thing is to see our faces and staff. Mackenzie and I are the staff who will be there in Dallas. You might be familiar with Mackenzie through the admissions and recruiting process. I will say, excitingly, she's also organizing a Thursday night dinner. I think it's going to be at 6:30, and she's going to send an official save the date later this week. But sorry, Emily just came. So there's going to be you all there. I think there's 22 Owen registrants at this point, which is amazing. And then we're going to also have some local alum attend the event. So should be a casual get to know everyone to kick off what is a sometimes overwhelming Friday and Saturday. It's a jam-packed event. So please just come open and excited to casually meet folks and get to know members of your cohort, in addition to some alum. So before I move on, I know Sandy's on and Kathleen are. Do y'all want to just say a brief introduction to who you are? And if you haven't seen these folks yet, you will soon. Sandy?
Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you. I'm Sandy Kinnett. I'm one of the coaches in the Career Management Center. I work specifically with students that are interested in pursuing roles within the healthcare industry, roles within our HOP curriculum, so corporate HR roles, or HR leadership development programs. I also work with students wanting to pursue operations. I've been a part of the Career Management Center team for a long time and really enjoy it. And I'm excited to get to meet all of you. And it's really fun getting to see all of you that can attend today.
And Kathleen, you're next on my bubbles.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. I'm Kathleen. So nice to meet you all virtually. I'm excited to work with you. I am one of the MBA coaches for marketing and tech. And so look forward to working with those of you who are interested in those career paths. I have not been here as long as Sandy. This is my 3rd year at Owen, but my 10th year coaching grad students. So look forward to working with you all when you join us this fall.
And I can't see Emily. Is Emily on here, or should I do an intro for her? Okay. So Emily is our CMC director and is an Owen alum herself, and has been with the CMC for over 20 years. I don't know if I should, she's been with us for a long time. She knows what she's doing, and she coaches finance specifically. And if I haven't met you yet, my name's Courtney. I'm a coach. I've been with CMC 7 years, and I coach consulting folks. So main event, I'm going to introduce Mac and Preeti. So these are current first years, but really now second years, who just finished Mod 4 and are hopefully taking a well-deserved break before starting their summer internships. And before I go in with some questions, can I pass it to Mac first to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Hi, y'all. Really excited you're coming to Owen. Scary that means I'm second year, though. I am originally from around Boston, went to Elon for undergrad, was a financial analyst before Owen, came back to school to pivot into consulting, and that luckily turned out. I'm going to Bain in Atlanta this summer for my internship.
Preeti?
Okay, my turn. Yeah, my name is Preeti. I'm from India, and before Owen, I used to work at Whirlpool as a subject matter expert for one of their electronic tools, and then I came to Owen to make a pivot. I didn't know what I wanted to pivot into, But I figured out eventually that supply chain was my thing. So now I'm going to be interning at Emerson this summer.
My thing. Oh my gosh. And I will say you're joining us from India, right?
Yes. I
Yes.
am
So
in
a
India
big
right
thank
now.
you to you because it is not noon where you are. So the first question I will ask, I will say first, I'm going to ask some questions, and then to everyone attending, we will have some Q&A open time afterwards. So you can feel free to put stuff in the chat, but also after I ask some questions, you can raise your hand and ask yourself. So the first is very general, but how did you all prepare for last year's conference, whether that was a resume update, a career coach meeting, just conversations, Google searches, whatever the case may be? Mac, I'll ask you first.
Yeah, I think I met with you, Courtney, as my coach. And we went over my resume, just made some updates to that because I think you submit your resume before the conference. So we got that all set to go. I also practiced like my elevator pitch, which I will say I don't think I ever said like in full, but it was really great to have all those points and like your intro really solid, because you will do that a lot throughout the conference. So kind of just practice those points of like where I'm from, where I went to school, quick overview of my career path, and then like why I was coming back to school, because all those things come up. Other things I did to prepare were, I think this happened like a week or two before the conference, but you get some emails from different companies, maybe just introducing themselves, saying they're going to be at the conference, or some may be inviting you to like a certain happy hour at the conference. So I would just respond to those. I think that's a good part of your preparation, and maybe make note of which ones you want to find at the conference. There's a big expo one night. While we were there, I assume they're doing it again, and it can be a little overwhelming. So having an idea of which companies you want to meet, which ones maybe have already reached out to you, and then like kind of having a list of those and a game plan before you go in, I think is really helpful. I was very overwhelmed on that one night with the expo. So I found that piece very useful to have a little bit of direction going into it.
Pretty.
So yeah, I kind of did exactly what Mac did. I had an updated resume. I met with Alex. He was my CMC coach. Then before the conference, had an elevator page, tried to I had an idea that I wanted to get into product management. Then I was really big on tech back then. So I tried to find the similarities between the role that I was in at Whirlpool and the role that I wanted to get into. And I practiced my elevator pitch that way. And other than that, like Max said, they send out a list of the companies that will be coming in for the conference. So I went through those lists and found out the companies that I'd be interested in going to, and then I pitched myself to those companies over there. So yeah, I think that's most of the things that I did over there. And other than that, yeah, obviously, I don't know why I booked a hotel that was 20 miles away from the actual location, but yeah, don't do that. Definitely don't do that.
I'll never forget meeting you because that was part of our introduction. So it was difficult for you, but now I will always know you. The other thing, Mac, you mentioned this, the expo, from my understanding, they're still doing that, which can be quite overwhelming. But there will be an expo portion and then programming along the way for you all. So you'll be able to pick and choose what programming you go to for the most part. And then the expo is when it's really helpful to sort of, prior to going, know who's in the room. So you can navigate a little bit. But is that what you all experience for the format for Thursday and Friday, or Friday and Saturday rather?
Yeah, I think it was like scheduled like panels and programming throughout the day. And then the big expo that one night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So in my mind, Forte is a big networking event. It's a chance to explore careers and certainly meet people who are doing different things, but also start building your network for MBA and for beyond. So can you all talk about some of the networking outcomes that you all had from the conference? and or involvement in Forte throughout the year?
Yeah, I can take that. So one thing that I should have done that I didn't do back then was, one, obviously you've got these really amazing companies that are coming in. So you're really focused on networking with these people from the companies themselves. But I mean, when again will you be in a room full of, I don't know, 1,000 women who are going to be future leaders? So that was one thing. I think Mac and I were actually talking about this a while ago, that we kind of stuck together, all of the women from Owen. We should have spread out and tried to know other women from all these other schools. That was one thing that we should have done. But the other outcomes that I got were Amazon. I mean, the first job that I wanted, that came out of Forte. Because I was an international student, I couldn't really get that much out of Forte, but I know that most of the other other women that attended the conference, they got a lot out of the event, because they were able to network with most of the companies, and everyone got a lot out of the people that they network with.
What did Amazon look like for you when you say you had an outcome with them?
Oh yeah, they were one of the companies that were over there. So I went, I had my pitch over there, and I think I sent out my resume right there. So they sent me an interview invitation after that. And then I started prepping. The outcome came a little late because of all the issues that were happening. And by that time, I didn't want to be in tech anymore. I totally switched my interest, but it was an outcome afterwards. So.
Thank you. Yes. Drawn out outcome, but outcome nonetheless. Yes. And Mac?
Yeah, I think a lot of my networking outcomes came from, as I mentioned, you get some like emails before, based off of like your resume. Companies get that resume book, and also if you checked off the industries that you're interested in. So when I went to Forte, I already had some like one-on-one coffee chat set up, or was invited to some different like receptions or happy hours. They may do it differently this year, but that's how it happened last year. And I got connected with a lot of different companies that I maybe wouldn't have through like the normal recruiting process here at Owen. So one example is Kearney is a consulting firm, and they just through my resume reached out pre-Forte and set up a coffee chat that I did at Forte. I met someone there, and then after Forte got set up with another woman within their women's network that kind of was like my buddy throughout the recruiting process. And then that ended up in the regular recruiting timeline of me getting an interview with them. So that's one example. I have a few like similar like that, where it could like down the road lead to an interview for you. So I think a lot of these, although they may seem like really quick and casual in the moment, can lead to something bigger. So although it's overwhelming, I would try to take every conversation seriously, bring your best self to each one. Since it is overwhelming, take the time you need to like, I would run back up to my hotel room a few times a day to like cool off, reset, go back in, because these small moments can lead to bigger things. And one other thing about the networking, just like a piece of advice, since you are meeting so many people, is to like write down the names of everyone you meet, the company they're at, and maybe if there's something memorable from your conversation, to write that down. I have on my screen over here a spreadsheet that I kept throughout the whole fall of my MBA network. And I have about 20 rows of here labeled of like people I met at Forte. And those are people that throughout the fall, when I had continued coffee chats, I would maybe bring up that I had met them, or in a cover letter, maybe mentioned, oh, I first met LEK at Forte, and that's why I'm interested, because they have such a strong women's network. So just keeping track of those names right away, starting this summer, it's a great habit to get, because it will help with future interviews and other like info sessions or coffee chats that you're in.
Y'all are like queuing me up perfectly, so I appreciate this. Both of you mentioned, so it's very networking focused, but it can just extend for months and months. And I say that very positively. This is you all getting a jump on your MBA experience. And while it can be overwhelming, I hope you remember how exciting it is and what positive exposure it can be. So perhaps you're not walking away with a job offer in June, which is completely normal and fine. You're walking away with a book of folks and names and conversations that you've had even before starting school in August, which I just think is great. And both of these examples y'all shared ultimately led to positive things according to internship standards. So something to keep in mind. I think a tracker is fantastic. I think I looked at both of y'all's at some point in the fall because you were handling so many things. So this is a way to jumpstart that. So perfect. So you all both talked about your elevator pitch a little bit and sort of what you would say, but in more detail, could you go through maybe some questions that were asked of you and or questions that you felt like you answered maybe even unprompted in the conversations with folks that you met?
I would say that I maybe blacked out during all the conversations. No, the like one-on-one coffee chats, I remember those, but you talk to a lot of different companies and a lot of the time it's you asking them questions. I think I had a lot of a quick, like, tell me about yourself or a quick intro, but if it's like 5 Forte attendees and 1 practitioner at a company, you can't go through your whole elevator pitch or you're gonna look a little funny. So read the room and the conversation that you're in. If they ask you to introduce yourself, depending on how many people you're with, have a few lengths of your introduction. And I had a lot of like casual conversations about where I'm going to school, maybe why I chose that school. I had like in my head why I was considering consulting in finance. So I kind of had an answer to both of those. But then I also had a sheet of paper with potential questions I could ask a practitioner. So you never want to be caught with like too many awkward silences because a lot of them are expecting you to maybe lead the conversation because they know that you're interested in their company. So I would have a lot of questions. I asked like why they chose to work there, about the company culture, maybe the kinds of projects they're on. They can be really simple, but just have a bunch of questions that you could pull out if you're in a lot of those where they're like, what else do you want to know about X company? And you didn't know you needed to know anymore, but just have a few questions ready so it's not awkward.
Yeah, mostly the same thing for me as well. I mean, Alex helped me prepare the elevator pitch back then. We kind of gelled all of the cross-aligning things, my skills with the companies that I was interested in. And then like Max said, you don't want any awkward silences. So you have some interesting facts or some questions that you want to ask them. I mean, you want to ask them questions anyway so that you can show them some interest. So have those questions ready as well. I don't think I did anything other than that, other than being really overwhelmed too.
You all are underselling yourselves, but I'm here for it. It's fine. You're very humble. So both of you sort of mentioned this, but this might be more directed to Preeti. Did you have exploration questions when you were like, I'm coming from Whirlpool, maybe interested in tech, but maybe PM specifically, or did that not come up?
Honestly, so I was going through these tables that the companies had, so they didn't really have that much time to ask me any questions. So I tried to pitch myself more than the questions that they asked of me. I think there was one table where they did ask me a few questions, but there weren't too many exploratory questions. They didn't have that kind of time. If there were coffee chats, they had time, but at the tables, because there were at least 10 other people vying for their attention, so it was really difficult. But what helps is going to those panels and asking questions over there. They really remember people who ask good questions, because I remember also because so I went to one of the supply chain panels there, and it so happened that the VP of supply chain from Whirlpool was also present over there. And I asked her a question and she was really happy about it. And then I told her that her mentee was my mentor. So that worked out in a different way, but I mean, that helped. so not just the Whirlpool part, but I went to all of these panels and I tried to ask at least one question over there. And then I went in and followed up so that they remembered me, and then just followed up with them on LinkedIn. So that was useful. So even if I wasn't able to get enough time or airtime on the tables that the companies had, this was a better way of standing out.
Yes,
I'm
I
sorry,
love that.
the
Yeah.
sensor just went.
Oh, no, you're right. And Mac, I know you were looking at finance and consulting. Did you have any exploration, maybe not questions, but did you find yourself finding out information about those career paths while you were there?
Yeah, definitely. They had some of on the panels, different people from like finance or consulting, where they would talk about different parts of their work. So that helped. And also a little bit at the expo, a lot of that was them like talking about their specific experience or their companies. You don't have a lot of time to maybe ask like your specific exploration questions or like explain your specific like not dilemma, but like I was deciding between two paths. So yeah, it was a lot of listening to what like other people asked, maybe asking your one question and trying to learn as much as possible. But similar to Preeti, it's just a great initial introduction to a lot of these companies, and then you have like more follow-up after where you can like learn more to help decide.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Because I do know you all may feel pressure to know exactly what you're going to do right now. And that's great if you feel like you do, but you don't have to. And these conversations are the beginning of things. And the panels are for you all to learn. So I just want to emphasize that, I mean, Preeti's an example. The outcome with Amazon is something that happened as a result, but it's not ultimately where you landed. So you can continue to explore throughout the fall and even into the spring if you want to. So I'm going to open it up to everyone in just a minute. But before I do that, I wanted to ask you ladies if you had advice or tips for folks. We're just under or over a month out, and anything that you did that you would say don't do again. So anything to share?
I think one of my, or probably my favorite part from Forte was meeting the 8 other people from Owen and Courtney and Mackenzie, and doing that dinner before. I was like super nervous because I was like, this is my first impression. And then it was like so fun and awesome and casual. So I would try to go in chill for that. And then also one of my favorite parts from Forte on that same line was not like a direct networking thing, but I got invited to some reception for a company I like wasn't too sure about. I didn't want to go alone, and I brought 2 of my other friends that I met at Forte, Ivani and Caroline, and we ended up like staying at the restaurant with this company till they closed. And none of us ended up applying there, but it was just like such a fun time to get to connect with some friends, and it was not a ton of pressure being at this like reception happy hour situation. So I would say put your best foot forward, but also focus on like having fun and being excited to be around all these women. And like Preeti said, talking to people from the other schools too. I think we were like a little crew, and it would have been nice to expand a little bit outside of that.
And do they have t-shirts already from Owen? Because you remember last year, we saw the other schools wearing t-shirts and we were like, oh, I wish we could do that.
I know. Yeah, they're doing the Spirit Day again on Saturday, and Mackenzie's doing t-shirts.
Nice.
I know. So that's like a new thing post-COVID that we were unaware of last year. So this year she's taking care of that. You're right.
Oh yeah, for me, yeah. I mean, definitely. Definitely meet other women, because the women at Owen, they're going to be at Owen. I mean, but yes, again, for me, meeting Mac and the other women, meeting them was absolutely worth the jet lag and the 2 months, the 2 extra months that I gave up the time with my family. So yeah, the 8 women, Courtney, they all just made up for that. It was amazing. And yeah, I mean, I'm still, I think best of my friends are these 8 women in class. Other than that, definitely don't forget to have fun. Don't be, I mean, it's a nice place to network with people, but you really don't have to be overwhelmed all the time. You can just chill. And then I've been getting a lot of questions over here, like what should I be doing now before school starts? I'd say just take time to relax, because once the program starts, you won't have time for that. So definitely relax before the program starts.
I would
I-
say one other thing too, I was nervous at the expo. As I mentioned before, it was like overwhelming. There's some companies I was really interested in that had like 20 girls gathered around the table, and you just aren't gonna be able to make an impression like jumping over them and introducing yourself. So I would maybe chill during those times. All the tables had a QR code that you could scan and type your email in and express interest. And so if there's a company that you don't even have time to talk with, maybe still try to stop by the table, scan the code. And then they'll reach out to you after Forte, maybe inviting you to virtual sessions, maybe asking you to apply early. And I think it's a great way to just like show them you're interested without feeling like you have to have an in-depth conversation. So that's one other tidbit.
One thing that I think Mac mentioned also that came up last year that I think is really good advice is it does get overwhelming. And if that's the case, you're allowed to take 5 minutes and go to the bathroom or go to your hotel room or whatever the case may be, because whatever's going to help you present yourself better in front of the next person you speak with is worth it. So something to think about, and definitely something that came up in this session last year that is worth mentioning again. Okay, I think I've bombarded you all with enough questions on my end. Does anyone, staff or incoming student, have questions to ask? Please don't be shy.
I have like a logistics question more so, like thinking back to like undergrad career fairs was very like you walk around with your folio and you have like all your printed out resumes that you're handing out. But I know there's like a resume book for that. Do we still do that for this or not so much?
I had printed copies of my resume, but I did not hand any out, but I would just have a few just in case they ask. But they all do have like that digital copy as well.
Yeah. I had my printed copies too, but the QR code is, I think that's where you drop your resume. So
I think it's sometimes comforting to have like a pad folio or something that you're holding on to. So if you have resumes in there, that would make sense. But to their point, it's very unusual at this point to pass back and forth like the papers, in my experience.
Hey guys, thank you so much for doing this today. I do have a question. So I wanted to know if you can't attend the conference in person, are there any virtual events? Because I'm an international student and I don't know if I'll be able to make it to the conference. So like if somebody does join virtually, how much do you think that would help them? Because hearing your stories, it's more of an interactive networking event, and I don't know if you can do that through a screen or just, I don't know how much of an impact it would have. So what do you suggest in this case?
So there were there was another event, another Forte event that happened soon after this one, which was for the international women. And yeah, if you're an international women, to be honest, so they will send out the list of companies that are coming in. Definitely go through that and check how many companies you're interested in. Then try and see if you still want to go for the conference. But again, what I'd say is the short-term goal is to obviously get an internship out of the event and eventually get a job out of it, but also look at it as a huge networking event. Be a little more open-minded about the program itself. You get, I mean, there will be other events which are as big as this, but this is one of the biggest events where you will see all of these women who are going to be future women leaders in a few years under one roof. So I definitely say go for it. It's a great event. But yes, to answer your question, there is the other event that happens, which is also quite impactful. You can network with a lot of people even over there. Did
Got
that
it.
answer your question?
Thank you so much.
Anna?
Hi. Okay, hi. Mine's a two-parter really. First one is when I don't know if the staff know or if you guys know from last year, but when do we actually get a concrete list of the companies attending? And two, would you is there an option for us to reach out, be proactive and reach out to them first, or is it solely like we wait for communication or just see them at the conference?
I think you get the list when we had an app that we downloaded that had a list of all the companies. So I think it's when they give you access to that. I don't think you have a ton of time with it because I think they're like,
It was like a week, I think.
yeah, I think it was a week because they're like solidifying like who's going to be there and who's going to speak at each session. So I would say you have a week. I would say not to proactively reach out. Some of them will, like once they get your resume or once they're loaded into the app, some of them will reach out to you, as I mentioned, to set up coffee chats or to invite you to stuff. I wouldn't just like shoot any random like person an email on there, but I would, if you do end up like meeting someone in person or hearing someone speak on a panel, I think all their emails are in the app, so you can feel free to like after the conference email them and be like, I met you at this, or like it was great to hear you on this panel, or connect with them on LinkedIn that way. They're probably gonna have a lot of people like talking to them like at the conference. There's like 1,000 women there, so I think waiting till you meet them in person would be more impactful before reaching out.
I just wanted to give them a heads up and prepare them for my arrival, but that's fine.
I love that.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
I also wanted to say to that end, I would agree with Mac, because when I think of the timing of this, these professionals are welcoming their current internship class right now over the next month, and then they're showing up for this event. So while they will be busy with follow-up communication afterwards, they are also busy right now. So don't worry that you haven't connected with people prior to going, because they are in the thick of it right now. So I would concur with what Mac just said. Any other questions?
This is another purely logistic question. Suits, business casual, what kind of direction did you guys choose for attire? Because I know sometimes, especially post-COVID, I feel like it's kind of up in the air at these things. So I didn't know if you had any insight, especially because we'll be in Dallas in the middle of the summer, and I really would not like to wear my wool suit if I don't have to. So any input would be much appreciated about how to navigate that.
On the day where you're wearing the shirts, the Vandy shirts, that seemed casual.
Okay.
I was in business professional the rest of the time. Only I had an interview like at Forte though, so it was like I had to be in the business professional to like go to that. I think it skewed maybe not like full suit, but people were definitely on like the professional side. I would not wear heels though. I did that and it was horrible for the expo. Don't do it.
Because I probably would have anyways, but I needed that morsel of affirmation. So thank you. I appreciate that, Mac.
I think also post-COVID, I could be just old school and thinking of this in the wrong way, but like a dress with a jacket, especially in the heat, is completely okay. Don't feel like you need to put on like your wool pants and then a full jacket. I do think you could at least like skew it a little bit to be Southern summer appropriate.
Mm-hmm.
But I do remember that the hotel was really cold, so the suit really did help. So I'm not sure how.
That's true. The one like the full days, I don't know if I ever left the hotel, and it was very cold, so I would be prepared for that too, like have a blazer or a sweater or something for that.
Thank you guys.
And as a follow-up for the shirts, I'll make sure Mackenzie includes some details when she emails everyone about the Thursday night event, because I'm pretty sure she's heading up that initiative for this. And I think y'all wear those on Saturday. So Saturday's more casual.
If there's any extra shirts.
Oh,
we
I'll
can
hit you
add,
up.
we'll take.
Yeah, we always love some Owen swag. I know, I hear it. Well, I don't want to speak for you all, but I think I can. If there are questions that come up, Mac and Preeti are always happy to chat and connect. And the staff certainly are as well. So please know that we're here for you, especially as a CMC coach. If you all haven't done a resume review and would like to, which we would encourage you to do, please check out the appointments in 1220 and sign up. Any of us can help you, whoever's available. And we can also help with, if you want to go over your story or talk about what an elevator pitch would look like, we can do some mock interview stuff with you. So just know that we're here. And these ladies, I don't think you start your internship for maybe a week, 2, 3. So we have them available for a little bit too. But yeah, just these are our faces. We're happy to have you all involved. I think it's going to be a great time in Dallas, hot, but great. And I appreciate everybody showing up today. Thank you, Mac. Thank you, Preeti. Preeti, get some sleep.
Yeah, Preeti, what time is it, Preeti?
It's I think it's 11. Yeah, it's 11:10 right now.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, that's very early.